the climate is undergoing several changes. Sudden rise and fall of temperatures, untimely rains, floods and cyclones are some of the manifestations of climate change. Rising fossil fuel burning and land use changes have emitted and are continuing to emit increasing quantities of greenhouse gases into the Earth's atmosphere. The greed of human beings to exploit the natural resources is in several forms. Forests are destroyed for industrial development and growth. Is there a way that the industry commits itself to doing a sustainable business? Is there a way that all of us join hands together to show a mechanism where we sustainably use the planet's resources to secure the aspirations of our future generations? Yes, there is a way. Vanita Empowerment, Development and Advancement Mutually Aided Cooperative Society, E.Z.S, conceptualized and developed a project. Improving rural livelihoods through carbon sequestration by adopting environment-friendly technology-based agroforestry practices. For this innovative project, E.Z.S partnered with J.K. Paper Mills Limited to enhance the livelihoods of small and marginal farmers through agroforestry.
E.Z.S Climate Solution and J.K. Paper Mill for taking initiative and their perseverance for waiting for that long period and finally succeeding in their registering a project with CDM, which is perhaps one of the projects out of the 22 projects in the world. So the two projects which are registered in India here, one is E.Z.S Climate Change Solution and J.K. Paper Mill project, and the other one is Government of HP project. Now I'm hoping these two projects will show enough guidelines and throw enough lights on the incredibly complex CDM mechanism.
Economists, and especially as an environmental economist, I think a lot about social value, and I also think a lot about incentives. So if you think about a huge global issue like climate change, it's an issue that we all have to deal with from every country in the world, but there are certain countries that have decided to make a commitment to reduce their emissions by a certain percentage. And there has been certain mechanisms set up so that these countries can achieve that reduction. For example, the Clean Development Mechanism, CDM. If you think about one individual taking the effort to reduce their emissions, that one individual has to incur the full cost of reducing their emissions. However, the benefit of that reduction in emissions is spread out over the entire world. So in this case, what we see is there's a divergence between the private incentive to reduce emissions and the social incentive to reduce emissions. Because now we're giving the individual farmer, the perhaps impoverished person living in the rural countryside, an incentive to plant trees. They have a financial incentive, they have a vested stake to actually plant the tree and see that the tree grows up to sequester carbon. Now what we've done is we've taken their private incentive and aligned it with that social value of reducing carbon emissions. So to me this is a very promising approach to take to tackling the CO2 and climate change issues.
The project is expected to sequester 182,660 tons carbon dioxide equivalent by the year 2017. About 1,600 small and marginal farmers were mobilized to raise two major plantations, eucalyptus and casuarina, in 1,600 hectares of degraded lands in Andhra Pradesh and Odisha.
VCSL, in association with J.K. Paper Mills and the World Bank, has embarked on a project with dual benefits. One is carbon sequestration, helping the climate, and the other is support to the poor farmers.
J.K. Paper Limited supports the supply of improved planting stock to the participating farmers.
This is a unique initiative by J.K. Paper Limited. It's a joint venture with VCSL, which is linking the livelihood of small and marginal farmers with the global environmental protection, where we have done this project for carbon funds extending to the small and marginal farmers for their livelihood, where they will get additional benefit over and above the market price of the produce what they are getting in their field by doing this plantation activity.
Provides technical support for plantation activity and formalized arrangements for purchase of wood from the plantations established under the project. The project has mobilized the resource for small and marginal farmers to raise plantations of tree species with high rates of carbon sequestration in their farmlands.
Weather climate change in the current scenario and the work which is being done here is quite relevant, because see, ultimately the resources are limited, and if we don't use them optimally, we won't have many of these resources in the times to come. And the best thing in this particular project is that the community is being benefited directly, and they are getting economic returns with which they are able to have livelihoods, better incomes, and also contributing towards the cause for which we are so concerned.
Project is implemented with the principle of triple bottom line. There are 3 types of benefits leveraged out of the Biocarbon Fund project. The economic benefits reaches both the farmers and the industry. Farmers earn 2 types of incomes. One through the sale of plantations to the JK paper mills through organized tie-ups, and another from income through certified emissions reductions or carbon credits. The environmental benefits are the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions through sequestration of atmospheric carbon dioxide, degraded lands brought into appropriate land use, soil and moisture conservation, reduced dependency of the industry on natural forests for supply of their raw materials, thereby leading to conservation of biodiversity. The social benefits include reduced migration of rural poor to urban areas, improved livelihoods due to additional revenue from carbon credits.
The clean development mechanism has largely benefited the industry. When we conceptualized the project in the year 2004, we just wanted to prove that it can also benefit the sectors like forestry and agriculture. We took it as an intellectual challenge to develop this project to benefit poor in the rural areas. The project is about connecting poor people who are illiterate to the international carbon market.
Farmer selection and convincing the farmers for agroforestry is a major challenge. A series of sensitization workshops were organized to increase the awareness of the farmers about the impact of climate change and how it adversely impacts their livelihoods. Supply of quality saplings at the farmer's doorstep is very important. These farmers are completely new to the plantation activity. The teams engaged extensively in training the farmers on the technical aspects of plantations.
Land eligibility is the main criteria. So land eligibility means that a small discrete parcel, individual parcel should be more than 500 square meters, and it should cover, there should not be any forest cover of 2 meters above plants since 89 to till project day.
GIS and remote sensing I see is very valuable and very useful in this whole process, because it will help identify the lands that are eligible for generating these carbon credits.
Basically, we are monitoring all the plots, all the 1708 plots, which is spreading across 2 states, Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. We are basically monitoring the replanting, harvesting pattern, and regarding the sample plots, we have laid out some 93 sample plots in 5 strata of this project.
The team is involved in scaling up and replicating the model which has been piloted by M.E.S Limited. The company has been the pioneer in developing a AR project under the UNFCCC guidelines in India. The company is trying to link up the small and marginal farmers with the global markets and the carbon trading firms across the globe. This will
అంతకుముందు 30 సంవత్సరాల కాని నుండి ఈ భూములలో పాడుపడిపోయి ఉండేది. దాన్ని ఏమో ఉపయోగించి ఈ మొక్కలు వేసిన కానిండి బాగానే ఉంది. మామూలు చూసి మరి కొంతమంది కూడా వేస్తారు. దాని ఉపయోగపడుతుంది మాకు.
నేను గత 5-6 సంవత్సరాల నుంచి ఈ నీలగిరి జేకే పేపర్ మిల్ వారి సౌజన్యంతో సాగు చేస్తున్నాను. నీలగిరి నుంచి మాత్రం బాగానే ఉంది. ఎందుకంటే ఒకసారి కొంచెం మదుపు పెట్టి వాళ్ళ సౌజన్యంతో మనం ప్లాంటేషన్ ప్రారంభించాం. మొదటి సంవత్సరం కొంచెం కష్టపడి మొక్కను బ్రతికించగలిగితే 5 సంవత్సరాల తర్వాత మంచి ఆదాయం వస్తున్నది. ఇది పొల్యూషన్ కూడా బాగా కంట్రోల్ చేస్తుంది. దీని ఆకులు రాలి మళ్ళీ 5 సంవత్సరాల తర్వాత దున్నితే ఆ పొలం కూడా సారవంతంగా మారుతుంది. నీలగిరి తోటలు
నాకు 2 ఎకరాల భూమి ఉందండి. 1 ఎకరంలో వరేస్తున్నాం. ఆ ఉన్న ఎకరంలో ఏదో పంట వేసేవాళ్ళం, పైరు పంట వేసేవాళ్ళం అండి. దాంట్లో మాకు ఏమీ కలిసి రాలేదని ఈ సరుగుడు, ఈ టేకి దాని చుట్టూ వేసామండి. దానివల్ల మాకు కాస్త అధిక దిగుబడి వచ్చిందని మేము మళ్ళీ దాన్ని తీసేసి మళ్ళీ అదే వేస్తున్నాం.
Project which has been launched in this North Coastal Andhra districts can be replicated in many of the districts, especially desert-prone area.
It's a project that, it grabs your attention. It is easy to understand. It's potentially fraught with some technical questions and issues of how you would carry these things out, but look at those as a challenge, and certainly the idea makes it very worthwhile pursuing. So,
let us look at the key milestones of the project. In December 2003, a project idea note was submitted to the World Bank. After its approval by the World Bank, a carbon finance document and project design document were developed in-house. On 25th July 2005, the project had received a no objection from the designated national authority. Between 27th and 31st October 2005, a due diligence team of the World Bank visited the project for inspection. In the month of August 2006, Environment Management Framework was formulated. On 10th September 2006, a disclosure workshop on EMF was organized. On 3rd November 2006, the host country approval from designated national authority was received. 8th May 2007, ERPA was signed. In April 2009, the validation team visited the project, and subsequently the project has been validated. Carbon revenue is now a reality, and for the first time, farmers will be receiving additional revenue from carbon credits.
We found it to be very, very interesting because there was a lot of innovation involved in this project, and second was there was a huge challenge. On the other side, we saw that if it can be well implemented, then there is a possibility for scaling it up, not only in India, but also across the globe. And since we are working in 40-50 projects in India and about 250 projects across the world, maybe we had an opportunity to be able to upscale it or to replicate it in other parts of the world where we have an existing project. So that's where we saw value. And the critical part is, again, we are working with marginalized farmers, the small farmers, and giving them an opportunity or providing them an opportunity wherein they can be integrated into mainstream markets and get additional kind of resources for their own livelihood.
To replicate and scale up the project on a much larger scale to benefit millions of farmers, VCCSL has promoted Socio-Economics Global as an enviro-social enterprise to integrate business, development and environment to provide social, economic and environmental benefits both locally and globally on a sustained basis. We want you to join us to bring about climate justice coupled with sustainable development.